And he says, we put it online. He tries to get it online. First, he puts the computer on, my computer. We're there. There's 3 girls there using their telephones, because if they don't have a phone card, they can use Wi-Fi to use their phones. So they're using their phones for the Wi-Fi. And there's another girl in the bedroom on a laptop, and she's using the Wi-Fi. We're sitting in the kitchen with my laptop using Wi-Fi. And he says, well, I don't like this video app thing we got. Let's change this video app. So he goes online and he does that. He doesn't have any problems with it. The minute he tried to put that video of what I'm showing you right now, he tried to put that online, bingo, connection shut off. No connection, they shut off the internet connection. The guy that owned the house and was using the Wi-Fi, he comes over, he's looking, well, it says it's online, it says connection, it's on. It said right there, it's on, he's got the Wi-Fi hooked on, it's on, everything's going. But it wouldn't go through, it shut off, they cut off the internet. First they shut us off the newspaper, then they shut us off when we tried to put it online. I mean, it's getting laughable. Their subversion is so blatant, it's laughable. You know, because they know they're going to be in a lot of trouble when all this comes to light. They're committing treason on a global scale, and the thing is, you are the biggest victims. They say there's 600 species on this planet in danger of extinction. Well, guess what? So are your islands. How long do you think your islands are going to be there? You got 150-mile-an-hour winds coming in at Grenada and blew those solar panels all to hell. And don't forget those storms still got diapers on. Wait until the big babies show up. You know, Drunken Harry and his drunken buddy show up. You think they got something going there now? Wait to see what's coming in 20 or 30 years. I can assure you, it's going to be a lot worse. So the main thing is you've got to get an energy system. You're not going to have to worry about that. You're not going to have to worry about the weather hitting. See, the biggest mistakes is because you don't have an alternative. You didn't know where else to turn. Well, who else are you going to go to? Right? You got solar and wind, and what else? You know, gravity system, but how many people are using that? That makes me wonder too. Why not use gravity? It makes sense too. But the thing about my energy system is, not only will it make electricity, it'll power all these appliances, all with the same technique, light and oil. So the main thing is, we have to hold the Canadian government responsible for going after my energy system. Here recently, in May, at the end of May, the neighbor next door was spying on me. They were paying him. I know he was. He admitted it. His wife was pumping him for information, and she was selling it to the government. He gets mad because one day he gets lippy at me and just told him basically stuff it up his ass, and I went home and never went back to the guy's place. Well, of course, with me not going back, now they don't have the income. I found out all of a sudden they're driving new cars to old beaters, right? Well, his wife probably gave him shit. He dipped off at the guy, now he's not coming, now we haven't got any money coming in. So he got mad at me. So what's he do? He throws poison over the fence and poisons one of my cats. Killed one of my cats. What happens here at Christmas time here? His son, he lives on one side, son lives on the other. His son shoots my cat, shoots another cat and kills it. And then drives by my house. I'm out there blowing snow. What's he do? Drives by yelling out the window at me. You know, basically, nah, rubbing it in my face. They told him to do that. They've been doing everything they can to try and provoke violence from me, and that was just another attempt. They're killing my pets, trying to get me to react, to threaten people, to go over there and put something up alongside his skull. That's exactly what they're trying to get me to do, right? Because they're trying to undermine this energy system. They're doing everything they can to try and discredit me. They did it before. I took a newspaper article, I could have showed it to you. I got a newspaper article from a newspaper here in St. John, and it was talking about how the RCMP out here were cyber attacking people. And so I took this newspaper to a candidates meeting for the big election there, the federal election. I went to the candidates meeting and I held up this newspaper in front of the live television cameras. I jumped out in front of live television cameras and held up this newspaper. And I told them, these people are not using this for proper services. They're using this for criminal, they're using this for criminal purposes. So what happens? They're screaming and yelling and blah, 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 right? Get me off the stage because they don't want me out there protesting in front of the cameras, right? So as soon as the cameras jump off, I run over. I go running up to the stage where the 3 candidates are sitting on the stage. I go running up there with this newspaper. She tries to run away, the Liberal leader, right? She tries to run away. She goes up behind the other 2 and runs for the stairs. Like I meet her at the bottom of the stairs with this newspaper. I'm holding it up in front of her, demanding an answer to this. What happens? They got some big mug that they hired. And I saw the guy the minute I came through the door, right? He's trying to play Mr. Cool. And I walk over, he says, "You here for security?" No. Guess who grabs me? From behind, right? I don't know if you guys saw that reporter in Canada that held up the microphone. They grabbed him from behind. I got the same thing. The guy grabs me and assaults me. They hired the guy to assault me. And a girl from the Conservative Party sees me the next day and says, "I saw what that guy did. It was pretty obvious they were trying to provoke violence from you." What do you think they were doing when they were attacking my livelihood? Everything I tried to do, they stepped on it, right? I mean, talk about disenfranchisation. They did this to me around the world. I've sent this energy system around the world. And everybody I got in contact with, they shut off communications with. I got a hold of Scotland, got a real nice letter back from Scotland. Couldn't get a hold of them again. And this happened over and over and over and over. If you took my computers and put forensics on my computers, you're going to be blown away by the amount of hits I got. Hundreds and hundreds of hits. And I'm not kidding you. It's been going on for 8 years. With this energy system, they delayed me 4 years. Grenada, I could have got this energy system to you 4 years ago if they hadn't interfered. You guys are on the verge of extinction. And here comes a guy with answers that can actually help you. And these people are using criminal means to stop it. They don't want you to have power. They don't want me to have power. I saw a cop downtown. I'll tell you a couple of stories. I saw a cop downtown. And I drove up beside him. I put together a little package of all the evidence I had of their criminal activity. And I wheel up beside him and I hand this out. And I says, "Here, give this to your puppet master." And I drove away, right? That night he calls me 9 o'clock at night. Well, I wasn't expecting to call at night, 9 o'clock at night. I thought it was just a wrong number or something. I pick it up and it says cop, right? So he didn't read you could tell by the stupid questions he asked. He didn't read a word of what he was doing. He just looked for a name, right? And called me. Didn't even bother to read anything. So he's going, "Oh, you're going to hurt people?" Because that's what they're after, right? That's what their objective was, to try and get me to do something violent so they could throw me in jail and kill this energy system is what they were trying to do, right? Just like killing my cat, same thing. And, physically attacking you, trying to get you to fight back, right? So I says to the cop, "Well, I'll tell you something, asshole. This energy system's going to have a lot more power than any gun." He goes, "Yeah." And I says, "Oh, by the way, they sent a cop around here because they refused to charge that guy for assaulting me. They come back 6 months and 2 days later in my driveway here." And I says to the cop, well, they hit me with some phony charges too, and I got up in front of the judge, and the judge says, "I got enough evidence to prove this whole thing's a flapping pile of shit." He says, "Evidence doesn't matter," right? I says, "How are you going to explain that to the rest of the democratic world?" He says, "I don't have to explain." I says, "Oh, yes, you will." And his head just went down. He couldn't even look up at me, eh? Anyway, they go back to this cop here in the driveway. He shows up. He says, "They're going to charge this guy, right? Willing to charge this guy." Well, they're looking to get out of a lawsuit. Is what they're trying to do. Because I can sue that Liberal Party and all the rest of them for what they handed me, right? So they're trying to get out of the lawsuit by using this guy as a fall guy, right? And they would let him off anyway. Especially when you got a judge handing you evidence, doesn't matter. Am I going to bother taking anything to a Canadian court when you get handed that? So I tell him, "I'll tell you something, asshole. You go back and tell your puppet master I'm going to shove it up his fucking ass." As he's driving out the driveway, right? Well, this cop on the phone that calls later that night at 9 o'clock at night there, I says to him, that cop that was in the driveway here, when I told him to go tell your puppet master I'm going to shove it up his ass, I said, "You really went on the attack then, didn't you?" He goes, "Yeah." Admitted it. They came right out and admitted it. And it's not the first time they admitted it. I can tell you other stories where they came out and admitted it too. They came right out and admitted, yep. They went on the attack. So, I mean, they're admitting that they're committing treason on a global scale. So it's not going to be hard to prove. We got to hold these people responsible. This is treason on a global scale, and we all know what the punishment for treason is. And when you do it on a global scale and hundreds of times, are we supposed to let them go on this? You know what Chris's boss said to me downtown in the office? He says to me, "Oh, you might as well give it up. They're not going to let you do it. You might as well give it up." They're not going to let you do it. Give it up. They're violating international law like nothing ever done in the history of man, because they used to say the worst crime that you can commit is a crime against humanity. These people committed more than just a crime against humanity. They committed a crime against every living thing in this planet over and over and over and over hundreds of times. And he's telling me to quit? The town mayor, you know what he tells me? "Oh, vegetable oil's too flammable. You can't use that. You must give it up. That ain't gonna work. You must give it up." Tried to tell me he was a mechanical engineer. One thing about the thing about using light with the heat too, is you can adjust the heat in fractions of a degree. Let's see you do that with a flame. You know, we're using light here. The accuracy of it is a way more accurate than flame. And another thing about it too is the heat exchanger can be here, and your light can be 10 feet away and hit on that thing and still get the heat out of it. It doesn't have to be right up to it like a flame does. So I can keep the lights back on one side of the unit, say your dryer or whatever, and have your heat exchanger on the other side, so the lights aren't anywhere near the heat. And there's no heat between where the light is and where the exchanger is, where that light passes through. There's no heat. The only time that light makes heat is when it actually hits something. When it's passing through the air, there's no heat on it at all. I could put 100 times the power of sunlight past your ear and you wouldn't even know it was there until it touched your ear, and then you'd know. But you wouldn't feel any heat off it. You wouldn't see anything unless there was smoke or something in the air to reflect the light. But there's no heat from the light. So that's another big advantage of it. So anyway, you understand now how the energy system works. You understand that I've been getting some extremely serious criminal activity by the Canadian government, and I'm charging and suing them for it. Abuse of power, breach of public trust. I mean, let's face the facts. When it came to the rule of law, you could hardly have called these people pedantic. You know, and the pejorative attitude I got from that judge tells you that this is a program they've run on other people. I'm certainly not the first victim of this. I know a guy, they took away his Canadian citizenship, his Medicare, his driver's license, and refused to give it back. He had to have social services sue to get it back. And then he couldn't even get his driver's license back. They catch him 9 years later driving without a license. See, that's the way they do it too. They commit crime against you, hoping that you'll retaliate with a crime, and then they can bust you for it. And they've done that to me hundreds of times too. Hundreds of times. They've committed crimes against me, hoping that I'd retaliate with one of my own, like they're doing with that cat, shooting my cats. I love that cat. And they killed it on me. They try and provoke some kind of violent reaction. All to undermine this energy system. That's exactly what that was. So we can't let these people go. We got to hold them responsible. Like, it's just crazy what they've been handing me. It's right off the top. And of course they all let on that I'm the crazy one with the phony charges and everything. Threw me in the loony bin, tried to make me look crazy. The psychiatrist reads the big report from the cop, and he goes, "This is a way overblown," he says. Well, how can it be a way overblown and be truthful? What's he write down for his report? Delusional and schizophrenic, for what I've got overwhelming evidence to prove. But yet I'm delusional and schizophrenic. I wonder what his per diem was. I can tell you one thing. They were all a bunch of Sybarites. Whatever the per diem was, it ain't gonna be worth it. You know, these people were just over the top with their crime. And I can't just sit by and watch television and wait to pop me clogs and let the world go down the tubes. Because I'm not just doing this for humans, I'm doing this for the animals on this planet. You know, there were over 1 billion animals killed in the Australian fires alone. And I never forget that. I never forget that. People always, all these California fires here, oh, how many houses were lost? How many people died? What about the animals that were in that forest? They lost their homes and lives too. Nobody gives a shit about them. They never even mentioned it. So the bottom line is, I'm going to give you this girl's phone number from the newspaper. I almost forgot to do that. And then you call that newspaper and you find out what happened. Ask Krista exactly what the... Anyway, 647-695-6505 is Krista's number. And that's in Toronto, I take it. So, call her and find out what happened with our communications with this newspaper and see if we can reestablish communications, and you'll find out there was some kind of criminal subversion here. They shut off us. They didn't want to go public, that's for obviously, when they're shutting off the internet and shutting off the newspaper and cyber attacking the hell out of us for years on end. They're scared to death this is going to go public because they're contributing to the demise of this planet with every time they do that. And they know what they're doing. It's not like they don't know that this energy system is going to work. Like Krista said, they obviously know it's going to work. So all we can do is I've sent this to, I got a list there of the countries that I've handed this to. And another reason that I picked you guys out of all the countries on the planet to get together with and form a coalition here is because you guys know what it's like to be. Nobody gives a shit about you. You got that at these meetings all the time, you know. And so you know, because the one thing this thing's going to give you is some real serious political power. And I want to make sure it lands in the hands of people that are going to use it properly and be responsible. If I give that, if you know, I'm almost glad some of these countries I went to didn't take it, because I'm afraid of the way they would abuse that power. You know, they run their country so licentiously that I wouldn't trust them with it. The power, look at the way they use the power they got now. You know, and so I want to put it in the hands of people that are going to be responsible with it and need it. And will use the power in a proper manner and help the people that need to be helped. And think about the animals out there, you know. So anyway, I'm hoping to hear from you guys. What I want you to do is I want to have a video conference with you. So you guys can ask questions and I can get into more details and we can work out a plan on how we go forward with this. Because the first thing we got to do is we got to build a prototype, whether just a dryer or an oven or the heater or whatever, or all three, because it's not going to cost a lot of money to build these things. It's all about the specifications. That's what it's all about. Just figuring out the specs. After that, bang, we're away. And then you get somebody like Danby or some appliance people to start banging these things out. But anyway, I want to get a video conference with you, and we can discuss this further and see what you want to do about working on this. St. Lucia, if you have the resources to do this, or one of you guys out there do, then let's get it together. Contact each other. I'll put all your contact numbers and everything on and names that are out there for you, so you can contact one another and talk about this. You know, because this is the closest thing you're ever going to get to a panacea. You know, it's going to give you the economic growth. It's going to give you your energy, and the energy system is not susceptible to weather. You know, there's no oxygen required with this. You don't have to have it out there in the weather. That's the big mistake too. How the hell are you going to use an energy system that relies on the weather when the weather is your biggest enemy? The worst thing you got to worry about what's coming across that ocean, and you're going to have your energy system exposed to that? Doesn't make any sense, does it? And besides, they're way too much money for what you get out of it. I mean, I don't know how much Grenada paid for their solar panels there, but I know it was in the millions. So he said, you know, it's paid out millions of dollars. If you put millions of dollars into this, you could have powered your whole island. It's because it's so cheap. It's going to be the cheapest way. And as far as that's another thing I should mention, is this is not my only invention. I have one for making electricity. It's going to make this thing look like all energy systems. Going to look pretty bad when I get this one out. It's going to smoke them, just like this is going to smoke a heat pump. You know, I got an energy system that's going to just blow away when it comes to the hydro. And what about food? How are you going to feed yourselves there on that island when you start getting hit like that? Rely on the rest of the world to feed you? And the same thing with a lot of countries. How are they going to eat? Anybody got any answers? I do. I got some good answers to that. But I can't put out any inventions and do anything when I got the Canadian government committing criminal subversion to the point of treason on a global scale coming after me. So I want to charge these people. The ICJ right now is figuring out exactly what their responsibilities to you guys are. You know, what are these G20 and developed countries, what are their responsibilities to you, considering they're the ones that polluted this planet to the major contributors. So what's their responsibilities to you? Treason on a global scale, is that one of their responsibilities? To try and murder the guy that came up with green energy? Because they did that too. They tried to knock me off. I won't bother getting into all that details. I can tell you about that stuff later. But the bottom line is, you need to know this energy system is real. It's the best chance you're ever going to get to getting the kind of money you need. Because the market for it is going to be over the top. How many people aren't going to want to buy an air conditioner that runs on 18 volts and can blow out more cold than anything they've ever seen before? And the same with that heater. 18 volts and you can put out 40,000 BTUs. I know a guy that had a little flashlight about that long and about this big around, and it was a laser light, and he goes, look at this, and he points it at a newspaper about 5 feet away, and it started to smoke almost instantly. So if you can do that with a couple of pen light batteries, I think we should be able to heat up some vegetable oil with 18 volts. Your car alternator is 12 volts and 120 amps. You know, and they were knocking down drones at a mile away with 500 watts. You know, so the energy system is going to be so efficient, it's over the top. So anyway, that's about all I got to say to you, I guess. Just get together, people, talk about it, discuss exactly how you handle this, and we'll arrange for you email me, call me, phone me. I'd like to hear from you. So call me. My number is 506-755-0892. I repeat, 506-755-0892. Call me if you have any trouble contacting me. If I don't answer the phone, if you send emails and you're not getting replies, you're going to know why. If they contact you and try to use any kind of slander and defamation against me, he's crazy, he's whatever, you're going to know why. Because they've been doing it to everybody I contact. Even my best friends that are in their 80s, and they contacted them and begging them not to take me down to Ottawa. They were scared to death I was going to go down to Ottawa and walk into all the embassies down there and show them all this stuff, which I may have to do here in the end. But if I don't hear from you, you're going to hear from me. So anyway, that's the best I can do. Please contact me, and we'll see what we can do to help each other out. Because if we get together, we can change the world, people, in a big way. A big way. So please contact me, and we'll see what we can do about it. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll be waiting for your contact.